Hi, I'm Sharon, and this is episode 123 of Knit Style. Hi everybody, welcome to episode 123 of Knit Style. And I am outside in my garden today again, which is awesome. And I'm planning on recording out here until I can no longer stand it. I don't know, I just love being outside, so unless it's raining or snowing or too cold to be outside, I will be out here. So, although I kind of enjoyed recording with my wall of yarn behind me last week. If you haven't seen that, check out that episode. So, let's get right into everything, shall we? So, I have been very busy knitting away because Rhinebeck is 3 weeks from today. Yes, my friends. Rhinebeck is 3 weeks from today. It will be the conclusion of Rhinebeck 3 weeks from today. But yeah, in 3 weeks it will be Rhinebeck weekend. So yeah, this is not a drill. Get your needles going to finish up your Rhinebeck projects. And I am working on a sweater. The sweater is One Way Tee. And here it is. It's short sleeve, which is why I'll definitely finish, barring some unforeseen circumstances. The designer is Debbie O'Neill, and it's really a super cute pattern. Here's the back. And I'm very excited about it. And it's coming out really nice. And I'm actually using a similar color. It's pretty spot on, the color I'm using. I'm using Plucky Knitter in the Wax Poetic colorway. See that? This week I actually remembered it. Okay, so this is the back. I showed you the back last week. The back is complete. And this week I've really been cranking out the knitting because I want to get this front done. So I am almost there, folks. I'm on the armhole decreases, and then I just have a little bit left and I will be finished. So maybe, I don't know, 4 inches more maybe? Let's compare, shall we? So I'm enjoying this knitting so much, and I'm going to miss knitting on this sweater when I'm finished with it because it's just a fun knit. It's going really fast and I'm really enjoying it. So let's see how much farther I have. Okay, so yeah, I'd say that's about 3-4 inches-ish. I can't tell because it's rolling, but yeah, that's about all. So it's going pretty well. I mean, you know, sometimes I have to rip back because I forget to do a decrease or I mess up the lace, but so far it's been going really well. So I love it. And I'll just wear a little light shirt underneath it and it will be beautiful for Rhinebeck. So speaking of sweater weather, it is finally sweater and shawl weather. Very excited. And today I have on a shawl that's been completed for many years now. I want to say this is probably 4 years old. It is Damson by Isolde Teague, and the yarn is Ella Rae Merino Lace, and I don't think there's a name for the color, but it's like this camouflagey color. And I quite like it. It's just a small little shawlette. It stays on your shoulders nicely if you want to wear it this way. because of the shaping. And it's got a little lace detail and a crochet edge. I think they're crochet, these little chains. Maybe not, maybe they're knitted. I don't remember. But I really enjoyed this little shawl. It's adorable, and maybe I'll make it again in another yarn, I don't know. Because it shows off variegated yarns very nicely, so I just gave myself an idea. Okay, so yeah, I'm excited to be wearing shawls again. I will be wearing one every day this week. I pretty much wear shawls every day to work unless it's really hot. Because I work in an old drafty building, and I generally run very cold. I'm always cold. But let me tell you something, my family, particularly my children, are super happy that the fall crisp air is here for a little while at least. Hopefully it will stay a little bit longer. I mean, it's been hot here. I mean, it's been high 80s. So we're ready for some nice cool weather. Anyway, so that's my Rhinebeck sweater. I love it and I'm very excited about it. Next thing is my socks. I thought I would finish one this week, but I didn't. But you know what? Look. I was at the heel last week, and so this is what I did this week. Not bad. Almost a full foot. I have very big feet. I'm a short little girl, but I have huge feet for my size. I'm a 9, and my feet are just long. Yeah, I have to knit really long feet on my socks. So whenever I do a top-down sock, it's like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? And I keep trying it on, and I'm like, nope. Nope, my toe's still sticking out. Nope. But it's really cute. The yarn is Knitty in Color in her Creepy colorway, which is a Halloween color, and I believe this color is available right now if you go to her Etsy shop. Alright, so that is that. And the only other thing that I have been working on, knitting-wise, is my Easy Shawl by Martina Bem. And it's getting longer. But I'm really only working on it sporadically, because this is just my mindless knitting that's not a sock project. Last night, we had a fire, and I just knit on this for a couple hours while we sat in front of the fire. So, yeah, I'm almost halfway through. Almost. I'm maybe 40% through the first triangle. So, this is my hand-dyed yarn in the Halloween Horror Night colorway. And I just love the gray and orange and purple together. And I just love how these colors are balancing out. Okay, so that's it for the knitting. Let me talk a little bit about spinning. I did not bring my bobbins out, but I will pop pictures of them in here. So I spun a little bit on my Matchless, only one evening, but I did spin a little bit. And I'm doing it long draw, so it goes fast. So I got a nice bit done. And my first bobbin is almost full. And yeah, I'm almost through half of it. So that's not bad, considering the amount of time I'm spending on it. So I'm spinning on an Into the World bat. The colorway is Eating Grapes Off the Wallpaper. I got it at Rhinebeck last year, and I'd love to almost finish it before I go to Rhinebeck this year, so I can buy another one. Love the bat. Love it. It's so beautifully prepared. It drafts like a dream. I'm really enjoying spinning on it. So I'm into the darker color now, as you can see when I show you that picture up here. And it's coming out so nice, and the bobbin is so squishy. I love it. It's going to be a really nice lofty yarn when I'm finished. I don't know what it'll be. Maybe a hat? I don't know. I didn't do a plan for this. I just kind of let the yarn be what it wants to be. And it's probably going to be maybe a sport weight. I don't know, maybe a DK. I don't know. I'm going to do a 2-ply. We'll see. I'll measure it when it's done. Okay. So the other thing, spinning-wise, that I've been working on, and I brought a little bit of the fiber out to show you. This is a Corriedale, and I'm spinning for socks for this, and I'm spinning this on my Hanson, and it's great because I can sit in my easy chair with my Hanson on my lap and spin as much as I want, which I love. And I'm spinning it from the fold. Now, JC Boggs is the one who taught me how to spin from the fold when I took a class with her 2 years ago. So she recommends that you take a Staples length, wrap it over your finger like that, and spin from the middle of it, kind of like a little tornado there. I don't like doing that at all. I just don't find I have good control. So basically what I do, I just fold it. I don't use my finger, I just fold it, and then I just spin off that tip, and it works just as well. I just don't like it over, I don't know, I just don't like holding it over my finger. So folding it works just as well for me, and I'm able to get a finer single using this method, and I'm really enjoying it. Why would I do this? Why wouldn't I just spin from the end? Well, this is top, and in order to optimize top spinning it from the end is to use a short forward draw, which would make a denser yarn, and I don't want this yarn to be dense because it's Corriedale. It's not super soft, so I kind of want it a little bit loftier. So in order to do that, I have to fold it in half and disorganize the fibers. So that's what I'm doing, and it's going well. I'm getting a nice lofty single, and it's lovely. I'm really enjoying it. That's pretty much it for the crafting section of the show. So about 2 hours ago, I was on Instagram and I posted a picture of me blocking a shawl, and it's not my shawl. It's a lady in my knitting group knit the shawl, and I don't have the pattern or any information about it, so I'm not going to show the actual thing on here. I'll show you the picture of the blocking shawl. And with that picture, I posted a request for questions for me for the show today. So I got some questions. Thank you so much for those of you who asked questions in the Q&A. I'm very happy you guys did that. I might be doing that every week rather than depend on a thread. So if you follow me on Instagram, think of some questions for me. I had some good ones with this. So the first question comes from Looking for You D, and her question is, I have the hardest time deciding what I want to knit next. How do you decide what you want to knit next? So this was a great question, and I had to think about it a bit, and I actually came up with a list of 7 factors that I use to decide what I'm going to knit next. So I'm going to go through each of these factors and talk about it a little bit, and I'll actually show you some examples of what I'm going to be knitting next, because these factors have actually factored into what I've decided to knit after I finish this Rhinebeck sweater, which I'm hoping will be this week. So I'm hoping to cast on a new project very, very soon, and this list definitely plays into it. So the first thing I do when I decide to pick a new pattern is I'm very much influenced by the season. So right now we're into fall. I obviously cast on a sweater a few weeks ago because I knew, it was going to be fall and I was going to want to feel some nice yarn in my hands. Colors really influence me for the fall. I want to knit oranges like the project I just showed you, the Halloween Horror Night yarn. I wanted to knit something with a little bit of orange in it because it's fall, so I was very tempted to cast that on, and I did. So seasons, big time. Christmas time, I usually make something with red in it. I love knitting a shawl right around that time of year, and I have some beautiful red yarn that I'm dying to knit into a Christmas shawl, and I'm hoping to get that cast on this year. I don't know if it's going to happen. We'll see. But seasons definitely play a factor for me. Number 2, event. So I'm definitely knitting something for Rhinebeck, and that is an event. So would I have cast a sweater on if Rhinebeck wasn't coming up? Maybe not. The event definitely influenced me with the sweater, plus season, because it was, nice thick yarn. So events for sure. I generally don't knit for babies ever unless it's a dear, dear, dear friend. And last year I did knit for a baby shower because it was a dear friend. So that would be an example of an event. Which leads us kind of overlapping into person. So I generally am a very selfish knitter. I pretty much knit for myself because there's not a lot of people in my life that warrant knitting for. Emily likes socks, so I'll probably gift her socks. Maybe I'll even gift her those Halloween ones I'm knitting now. My son isn't really into socks. My husband likes socks, so I did actually knit him a pair this year, and I'd like to knit him another pair. So it depends on the person and if they ask me for something. So actually, this is going to heavily influence my next cast on person, big time, because my son had asked me about a month ago to knit him a shawl, or not a shawl. He asked me to knit him a scarf. So I went on Ravelry and I had him sit with me and look through patterns, and he picked out something that he liked. And it's funny because I've been kind of on the lookout for yarn, for this particular pattern. And then I started dyeing yarn. So I told him I would dye yarn for the pattern, and just this week he looked at me at the dinner table and said, "Have you dyed my yarn yet?" I mean, he was kind of half kidding, and he kind of wasn't half kidding. He wants this scarf. So anyway, when your son asks you to dye yarn for him and knit him a scarf, yes, you're going to do that for him. Because I'm super excited about knitting something for my son. He's 21. He likes fashion, and yeah, so he's really excited about this. And so here's the yarn that I dyed. I dyed these two. He wanted black and gray. So black and dark gray. So I did just this basic black. And this is on my sock yarn, my chic yarn. It's the 2-ply 80/20 merino nylon. And then I dyed up this light gray as a coordinating color. Same base. And he really likes it. So knitting with the black yarn is going to be a challenge. I'm just going to have to do it like by a window during the day, maybe on my lunchtime. I don't know, in the car. I don't know. We'll see. I have an art light in my living room, so I don't know if it's going to be bright enough to see this black yarn, but yeah. Anyway, so this is the yarn, and I might have talked about this in the past, but this is the pattern. It is by none other than our good friend Stephen West. It is an older pattern of Stephen's called Vulpix, and it's Pokemon themed, which is amazing because I'm obsessed with Pokemon lately. I actually know what this character looks like. It is based on a little foxy character in Pokemon called Vulpix, and this is the scarf. It's actually a shawl, but my son is calling it a scarf. Don't tell him. But he's cool enough to wear a beautiful shawl scarf like Stephen. And so, yeah, person definitely influenced my decision on this cast on, definitely. So this is going to be cast on, I'm hoping sometime this week, because you're going to be seeing a lot of it, because it's going to be my monogamous knitting after this sweater is finished, because I want to finish it for him. So, yeah. Number 4, inspiration. So, I become inspired to cast on things, items, by podcasts, by Ravelry, by things I see in the street, by patterns I see on TV. I used to do a whole segment about that. So inspiration, definitely. What I do is I use my favorites in Ravelry to bookmark things that I see, and I put them in bundles on Ravelry, and someday I'll do a little tutorial about that in case you guys don't know how to do that. And I find it really very useful, because now if I'm looking for, say, a specific type of sweater, I have a whole bundle of cardigans. You know, I'll go into that bundle and look. Or fingering pullover, I have a whole bundle dedicated to that, and I'll go in and look. And that's how I organize my inspiration. So inspiration definitely is a heavy factor in what I cast on. Knit-alongs. If someone on a podcast is having a knit-along and I love the pattern, I'll cast it on if I have time. So definitely inspiration. Mood. What am I in the mood to knit? You know, I mean, sometimes I have plans of knitting. Okay, so here's a perfect example of that. So I have yarn and the pattern to knit a Hitafude cardigan, and I was really excited to knit it, and I had the yarn, had the pattern, I was knitting other things and didn't cast it on. I'm no longer in the mood to knit it. I'm hoping my mood to knit it comes back at some point, but there's so many other things that I want to knit before it that I don't know. I may destash the yarn. I'm not sure if I want to cast that on. I don't know. So, mood, definitely. Priorities, you know, and that has to do with deadlines and things like that. So that overlaps with events and people, you know. I have a self-imposed deadline for my son's scarf. I'd like to get it finished by the end of October. I'd love to finish that, because that's when the cooler weather is going to come into play and he's going to want to wear that. So yeah, kind of deadlines. I don't really like to knit for deadlines, and I generally don't do it often, and they're mostly self-imposed. So I would be a horrible designer. If I had a deadline for a pad, I'd be horrible, because it's just not something I enjoy doing. I mean, if I didn't finish this by Rhinebeck, I'd be like, oh well, I'll wear something else, not a big deal. You know, I have good intentions. I don't always make my deadlines, but it's not like crucial. So deadline, I think, is another factor. So those are the factors on how I decide what to knit something, how I decide what to knit. I think inspiration and season are my top two, and mood. So, yeah. But if you're having trouble finding things to knit, go on Ravelry, watch some podcasts, join some knit-alongs, and yeah, so that's basically how I decide. It's a little complicated, but it was a great question. So thank you so much for asking that. Okay, so I have another question by Quirky Urban Girl. And she asks, "Hi, what product do you use to soak before blocking? Do you use something to help when yarn likes to bleed? Thanks." So when I have it, I use Eucalan. That's pretty much the one I like the best, although honestly I haven't tried a lot of other ones. I may try Soak. I've heard good things about Soak. I don't know. Sometimes I use nothing. Is that bad? I mean, I don't think my items are that dirty. They're not dirty, really. I mean, I don't drag them through the mud. I mean, sometimes I just soak it in water and don't use anything before blocking. If I don't have Eucalan readily available, I just use nothing. And I actually get less bleeding that way, so that's how I would control that. Because the detergents generally will sometimes make things bleed, and I don't use anything else to control bleeding. So I haven't had too much trouble with bleeding, except for that one shawl that I had a little bit of a disaster with that I'm going to fix at some point. So you'll have to watch my back episodes for that story, because I'm not going to tell it right now. But yeah, generally Eucalan, I like the eucalyptus smell, or nothing. So, unless I've worn the garment a lot. Now, if it's something I've worn a lot, then I will soak it in some sort of detergent. Sometimes Dawn works fine. The only thing is you have to rinse it a lot. So, anyway, yeah. Ms. Cozy Couch asks, "Do you choose the yarn or pattern first? Thanks." So generally it's the pattern. I'd say 90% of the time I choose pattern first and then go searching for yarn. So case in point, we found this pattern, and I had looked for yarn before I started dyeing yarn, and I was going to buy some from Miss Babs, and I'm glad I didn't, because I'm super happy with the yarn I dyed. When I was first spinning, and sometimes I do this now, like say for the spin I'm doing on my Matchless with the Into the World bat, it'll be yarn first, and then I'll pick the pattern for that, because like I said, I don't know when it's going to be yet, because I didn't really plan on spinning it for anything. So generally nowadays when I spin, I usually spin for a purpose. So case in point, this spin that I did, you've all seen this one. This was my Epic Lace yarn that I spun and finished about a month ago. And I spun this for a specific purpose. I'm going to knit Nuvum by Martina Bem. And I am dying to cast this on. This is mood. Like, I really want to cast this on now. But person trumps mood at this point. Because, yeah, you know the story. So when I finish this, oh God, I'm touching this now and I just want to hug it. And just, I want it with me and on me forever. So when I finish his scarf, I'm planning on casting this on. But then again, something else might come up. I mean, It might be Christmas time by that time, and I'll want to cast on a red shawl. I don't know. We'll see. So, yeah. So anyway, this was pattern first, yarn second. And that's generally how I choose. I'm not one to go to the yarn shop or to a show and buy all the yarn and then decide what I'm going to knit with it. No. I need to know, I need to have a pattern in mind. As a matter of fact, last January, when I went to Vogue Knitting Live, I don't know if you guys remember, I'll put a picture here. I bought a giant skein of Jill Draper Make Stuff Empire yarn, and I bought it in a beautiful lavender color, and I didn't have a pattern in mind, so I came home and looked through, and I kind of picked one that I kind of liked, but I wasn't sold on it, and I really never found a pattern that I loved, and I actually fell out of love with the yarn, the color of the yarn, not the yarn, but the color of the yarn, that lavender, because when I got it home I realized I already had a sweater in lavender. Kind of, wasn't really even a similar color, but I never wear it. So I thought, am I going to wear this lavender as a sweater? Probably not. So I ended up destashing it. It's gone. So, yeah, I don't have it anymore. But I'm hoping when I get back to Vogue Knitting Live again in January, I can find another beautiful skein of Jill Draper Make Stuff Empire in green, because that's what I should have bought. And I have a pattern in mind. I'm going to knit an Artichoke French by Laura Nelkin from the Rhinebeck Sweater book. I really fell in love with that pattern, and I did not think it would look good in lavender. It looks beautiful in green. So, and that's what she knit hers out of. So, yeah, I'm on the scout, on the hunt for a beautiful green skein of Jill Draper Make Stuff Empire. So I don't know if she's going to be at Rhinebeck this year. Last year she had an open studio on the same day, and I'm just too tired to do that. To stay up in Kingston after Rhinebeck, so it didn't happen. So I bought the yarn at Vogue, which I'll do again this year. Okay, so that was all the questions I got. Thank you so much. That was so much fun. I enjoy answering those questions, so I'll probably do it again next week. So follow me on Instagram and be ready for some questions that I'll call for on Sunday. Okay, so window shopping. You saw that I dyed this. These are mine. They're from my son. But I also thought, well, I didn't dye 2 skeins of black because I don't know too many people who knit with black yarns, particularly people my age. But I did dye another skein of gray. So this is on my 4-ply 100% merino base. It's the Fashionista fingering base, and it's a beautiful tonal gray. And I think I'm just going to call it basic gray. It's just a beautiful medium to dark gray. So this is going to be available, and one reason why I dyed that, and I'm going to be dyeing, I'll probably need another one for myself. I did something a little different this week, and I dyed mini skeins. So I had ordered some mini skeins in the Fashionista fingering base, and I've had them for a while now. And I finally said, I'm going to dye these up. So these are Pokemon colors. These are all my Pokemon colors. This is Squirtle. This is Charmander. This is Bulbasaur. I dyed Pikachu only for minis. I won't be dyeing Pikachu in a full skein, but I thought it would be fun in the minis. And I love this one. This is a new one that I came up with. I wanted to include it with the mini skeins. This is called Pokestop. So if you play Pokemon Go, you can get items from places they call Pokestops, and they're usually they can be at churches, monuments, gaming stores, party stores, things like that. And so when you get to them, they're blue. You spin it, and after you spin it, things pop out and you get things, and then it turns purple. And you can't use it again until it turns blue again. So I love this because it's got the blue and the purple. It's really speckly and so pretty that I think next week I'm going to dye some full skeins on this. I think it would look good in a sparkle. So that's Pokestop. And they're fun. So they're 20 grams each, 87 yards. So it would make a beautiful barn raising square. It would make a fun shawl, maybe with the gray. I mean, there's a shawl I want to knit. I'll talk about it next week. I'll bring in the picture called, I think it's called On the Spice Market, and I'm sorry I don't know the designer, but I'll put it in here. And I want to do a gray and then some color, and that might work with the gray. I only have one skein of this, but if you buy mini skeins and this isn't available, I can dye another gray for you. Just let me know. But these are fun. I'm really happy with them. And if you ever just wanted to try out some of the Pokemon colors in a blanket, perfect. And that's pretty much all the dyeing I did this weekend. The mini skeins took a while. And I don't know if I'm going to ever dye mini skeins as mini skeins again, because I thought they'd be easy to handle, and I found out they weren't so easy to handle. They kind of like to tangle up with one another. I spent part of Saturday afternoon untangling one, which really was not fun. So yeah, so maybe what I'll do if I do mini skeins again is I'll just dye skeins and then just wind them on my shocked skein winder into mini skeins. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it doesn't take that much time to do that, really. I mean, it kind of does, but I don't know. I'll have to see. I think they might come out a little better dyed to skeins, because definitely, like Squirtle, I tried dyeing a bunch of this and it came out more green because they were smaller, and maybe the yellow, I used more yellow than was called, that I really should have for the weight that I had dyeing. I don't know. We'll see. It's all a learning process. But I think they came out cool. So I have lots of things in the shop. I have Slutty Pumpkin. I twisted these into skeins so you can see them. I have my blue glass. And this is on a thicker base. Make a nice hat or cowl. I have Zin on an MCN, which is lovely. I have one skein of Fallen Fairy, which is a little brighter peach, but it's still pretty, and it's got lots of nice speckles on it. I have a full skein of, I have all my Pokemon colors in stock. This is Bulbasaur. This is on a BFL. This is Charmander on my sock base, Trendy Sock 4-ply. And I have Squirtle on my Trendy sock base. I have my pink pearls, one's on a sparkle base. And I have Halloween Horror Night. I have it on the 100% merino base, and I also have it on the sock base on Trendy. So I won't be dyeing this after October 1st because, yeah, I'm going to maybe start dyeing some Christmas colors. So if you want this, you should get it because I'm probably not going to dye it again until next year. All right. So that's it for the yarn update. And so let's talk a little bit about events. Rhinebeck is in 3 weeks. I'm very excited. I am taking a class this year on Friday. I will also be there Saturday and Sunday. I will be at the Podcaster Meetup on Saturday at 1 o'clock, which is right after the Ravelry Meetup. So yeah, if you see me anytime during the weekend, please come up and say hello to me. Give me a hug. I'm hoping to have a gift for you. So if you meet me, I should have a little gift for you guys. So I'm excited about that. After Rhinebeck, it will not end because I will have something else to look forward to. I'm going to Vogue Knitting Live for the entire weekend. I am super excited about it. So Vogue Knitting Live is the long weekend in January. It's Martin Luther King weekend. And it is also my birthday weekend. So yeah, that's happy birthday to me weekend. And I'm going with a friend, and we're staying right at the Marriott Marquis. I have reservations, and I will be there from Friday through Sunday. So yeah, Friday through Sunday, yeah, because that's a long weekend. I have Monday off that week. So those are my events, and I am really getting excited about them. Vogue Knitting Live is a train ride away from me. It's only an hour and 40 minutes down on the train, so that should be really easy. I'll just pack up my suitcase and have Rich drive me to the train, and I'll be in Manhattan. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so I hope you guys have a great week. Happy knitting. Cheers.